more than the other offer he had.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Network Marketing Insider. Network Marketing Insider. No, what are we doing here?
I don't know. Network marketing.
It is the Network Marketing Insider. We were talking about a different subject here, threw me off. But yes, welcome everyone. Welcome network marketers. This is the 206th episode of the Network Marketing Insider by Swissquote Global Independent Business Owners, John and Paul. And this is a website Wednesday, one of our favorite days here, where generally we talk about our particular network marketing vehicle. That's generally the basis of the subject matter. But before I get into telling you exactly what that is, I got something I want you to think about. Did you know that if you take out all the time that you spend sleeping and all the time that you spend commuting to work and all the time that you actually spend working at work and all the time that you spend running around doing all those things of daily life that have to get done, that at the end of the day, when you add it all up, that most people have basically about 1, maybe 2 hours to themselves to do the things that they actually like to do? And even if they had more time to do that, would they have any money to do it? Well, we have found a way for you to own your life by starting a home-based business that is so simple that anybody can do it. And the best part is it doesn't involve any selling, and it doesn't take up very much of your time because obviously, as we just pointed out, you don't have much as it is anyway. So I'm Paul Romero, and I'm hanging out here in beautiful South Lake Tahoe on a not snowing day for the first time in about a week. And we want to know where you're hanging out from. Type it in on the side over here. Let us know where you're hanging out from. We like to call out people that are hanging out. Let's see where people are coming to find their information from. And John's here with me today. Haven't seen John in a couple of days, but where are you hanging out from, John?
I'm live from Phoenix, Arizona, as always. You know what, Paul's quite fortunate to have the ability to go back and forth between here and Tahoe. I always find it funny that you end up there in the winter, the exact opposite of what everybody else is doing. But hey, Paul's also a lot more successful than half the people out there. So why follow the herd? If you're a snowbird, fly to the snow, I guess they say. So it looks like you finally have a day, snow-free day up there in Tahoe.
Yeah, when I got here, there was grass in the front yard, and now there's 4 feet of snow on top of it.
I'm back from the East Coast, and I lived up in North Dakota for a year, and I don't miss that snow whatsoever. I loving the fact that I wore shorts all day yesterday until I had a meeting later on the afternoon. But anyway, it is Wisdom Wednesday. We do discuss Swissquote Global, the product, the vehicle that Paul and I have chosen for network marketing. And as Paul said, where are you hanging out from? Leave us a comment below. That'd be very interesting and fun to know. And for those of you who aren't necessarily particularly interested in Swissquote Global, I say welcome to you to the Hangout as well. Take a look at what we do here. We always drop gold nuggets of wisdom, even on website Wednesday, which is devoted to our vehicle, Swissquote Global. But with that, welcome to the Hangout. How's everybody doing, and how is Paul this morning?
Paul is fantastic. Anyway, I'm really excited today, actually, because got a great topic for today. And Swissquote Global is our vehicle. But today, I think, we've got with this being the last day of the year for us to have a hangout, because we only do them on New Op Day, Wednesday, and Fridays. And Friday is, guess what? Day 1 of 2016. So with this being the last day of us to be able to hold a hangout here, what I want to do is really I want to focus our thoughts here, and I want to think about a much more important topic than just Swissquote Global in itself, and that basically is vision. What is your vision for 2016? Because if you go into 2016 and you don't have a vision of what it's going to be, the next thing you know, it's going to be the end of 2016, and you're going to look back, and it's going to look just like 2015. Because if you don't have a goal and if you don't have a plan to go forward, You know where you're going to go? If you don't know where you're going, you're going to end up not very far from where you started. That's just the way it is. So today's topic is getting yourself set up to move forward into 2016 and beyond, and to actually achieve some real progress, make some real progress and achieve some real goals and end up in another place by the end of next year. We don't want you to be standing at the end of 2016 going, well, nothing's really changed. It's the same as it was last year. And I'm going to challenge you right now, because a lot of you might be thinking, wow, this is a big project here, thinking ahead like this. And it's tough, because what happens is this is something that gets overlooked. It gets set aside. It gets, pushed off as, I'll get to that eventually, something that we have to do, something that I got to do, but I don't have time today. We get caught up in the fact that, we got to be out there making the money. And so I mean, this world really is demanding of that. We got to be out there making the money so we can pay the bills and keep the business going. But if you don't take the time to sit back and establish your vision, like I said, you don't know where you're going, you're going to end up very close to where you started. So the whole idea here today is to not bite off a big fat chunk, because, I mean, there's a whole lot of different theories out there about how to, create your vision and your game plan and your business plan and all those things. And, look at yourself 10 years ahead, et cetera, and so on. We're going to make it very, very simple. We're going to just say, you know what? Let's not go beyond 3 years in advance. Okay. That's as far as we're going to go. And to really drive home the importance of 3 years, what I want you to do here for a real quick second is to think back. This is the 2016. That would be what? 2013, 13, 14, 15, 13, 14, 15. Think back to the beginning of 2013. Okay. And does your life right now look very much different from when it did then? I mean, very much different. Yeah, it looks different. There's no question about it. But is it basically the same? Okay. And 3 years ago, you look back right now on the beginning of 2013, and I'll bet you can think back and you can look at that and you can go, wow, kind of feels like yesterday, and guess what? 2000 and what's the next one? 19? It should feel like, wow, that's like day after tomorrow. Because that's what I mean, if 2013 feels like just yesterday from today, guess what? The past that's gone by so quickly, the future is going to come and go just as, if not faster, than the past 3 years have. So that's as far as we're going with this. Is 3 years.
Yes, I agree with Paul. I think that's a good time frame to put on a vision, if you will, is starting at the 3 year point and kind of working backwards. In fact, it was about around this time last year where we actually went through a whole workbook and a whole almost like 6 weeks in a row every day going through how to create your vision. So I think it would be appropriate to kind of get back into that topic a little bit here. Now, to do this properly, man, can we squeeze all the little tidbits of wisdom and knowledge on how to kind of put together this vision into a 20-minute hangout? I certainly see this thing probably extending beyond just today. But given the fact that today is the last hangout before the new year, it only seems appropriate that we would begin discussion on this topic. So with that being said, laying this thing out, my feeling is you start with the vision for where you want to be 3 years from now. And as Paul said, if you don't know where you're going, how exactly are you getting there? And if you don't have some sort of roadmap or a plan, you're going to get stuck and you're not going to progress very far at all this year. And in fact, as Paul mentioned there, it could all be over really in the blink of an eye. I mean, just thinking back to 3 years ago, 2012, when Paul and I first met, really still seems like yesterday that we started even Swiss Gold Global and another business venture that Paul and I have. It's unbelievable to think how quickly time moves. So, with that being said, the vision, how do you put together the vision? You know what? We're going to make it simple for you because we have kind of a system for that. I'm sure Paul probably even structured a little something. I'm not completely unprepared on this topic, though. I was like, okay, this is the direction it's going. I actually had my website already pulled up with a couple of things that I was going to point out if Paul wasn't prepared. But start with where you want to be in 3 years. And Paul, why don't you go into how that kind of looks like?
Well, first of all, you brought something up there that we had put together a sequence of shows last year at this time on this subject. And for those of you who weren't there on those shows, you missed a great opportunity to be in a much better place right now than you probably are. We invite you to go back. I'm not exactly sure what number those would be, but go back and find the end of last year and watch those shows and get a real detailed outline of what we're talking about here. And for those of you that were there with us and have actually done that, you've got such a huge advantage because now you don't have to recreate that whole thing. Now you can go pull that out and you can look at what you had written down, what you actually accomplished. You can now measure yourself. You can now see where you gained and where you failed. I don't like the word failed, but where you were lesser successful, the areas where you weren't quite as successful, and the areas where you were more successful, and where did you make real strong advances and where did you not, and then you can have a real good place to start from and really kick this thing off going forward.
Absolutely. In fact, I can't wait to go break out my notebook. I want to go break out the notebooks and the workbook that I had last year. I will for the next hangout though, but
I didn't even think about it being the end of the year, and I didn't bring that stuff with me.
Oh, excuse me. But so basically, I mean, starting this thing out is think about it. Where do you want to be in 3 years? Sit down, find some time to. You know what? If you can't find the time, then you better make the time because you're never going to have time unless you sit down and do this to have the freedom you want, the stuff that Paul discussed right in the beginning of this hangout. What are most people looking for? More freedom of money with their finances and looking for more freedom to spend their time doing the things they want to do, but also in addition to that, being able to afford to do the things they want to do. So think about when are you going to sit down and make a plan for getting that, the financial freedom, the physical freedom, the spiritual freedom, the freedom. When are you going to sit down and do it? I mean, I say make time. Make time to do it. And think about the person you want to be in 3 years from today. Where do you see yourself? And think about it in broad terms. And this is kind of where the vision can be as huge as you want it to be. This is where you can play with dreams a little bit. This is where you can think 3 years in the future because a lot can happen in 3 years, especially this day and age with technology and how quickly things turn and the volatility of the world and the economy. I mean, the world can be anywhere. So dream big. Where do you want to see yourself in 3 years? A good example of this for me would be, where do I want to be physically? I know I'm going to be 3 years older, but there's no reason why I can't be in better physical shape than I am now. So I want to be in better shape physically. Spiritually, do you have spiritual goals? What are your financial goals? How much money do you want to make? Do you like the job you're at? If you don't, do you picture yourself doing something that you like doing every day? Think about this is where you think about where you want to be and who you want to be and start just jotting down ideas for a grand vision of yourself.
I love the law of attraction. I just write shit down and you talk about it.
I gotta get coffee. Continue.
But John actually started covering the basics there. Actually, what I'm going to throw out here today is really, you know what? Today is Wednesday. Friday is New Year's Day. I would highly suggest you just freaking close up shop, close up business, stay home, and watch football and take down all the Christmas decorations, do whatever it is that you do on New Year's Day, but apply 2 hours of your time to what I'm going to call this basically a 3-day crash course. This weekend, you got the perfect opportunity. You got a day off on Friday, you got Saturday and Sunday, you got 3 days to make this happen. And we're going to lay out a quick little crash course for making that happen. And so what John just laid out there pretty much there was day one, Friday. Yeah, you got the family over, you got football going on, you got to take down those Christmas decorations, you got all this stuff you got to do on New Year's Day. But I encourage you strongly to take 2 hours first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning. It's very important that you do this first thing in the morning. Get your coffee, get your water, get your, get a snack in you, whatever it is that you need to get your mind going, and set aside 2 hours for yourself to sit in a quiet room somewhere, undisturbed, away from everybody else, and think about what John just said. What do I want for myself 3 years from today? And he said, you can do like John said. You can go big crazy thinking if you want. I mean, you can just think totally out of the box, things that you could absolutely just can't even imagine could possibly ever happen for you, and go big and crazy on it. Or, hey, if that's not comfortable for you, tone it down a little bit. Think of things that you can actually, sort of vision and see. That's fine too. However you want to do it, it's up to you. But take 2 hours and sit back and think of what the perfect scenario for you is 3 years from today. And like John was starting to talk about there, in 4 specific areas, 4 specifically broad areas. Number 1 being your physical health, your physical body and your health. Where do you want to be physically? Number 2, spiritually. And I don't just mean, I don't pigeonhole spirituality into religion. If you want to do that, that's fine. But I leave spirituality open to a much broader scope, and I hope you do the same. But where do you want to be physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally? Where do you want to be mentally and emotionally? I'm talking about your stress levels and your how you feel about things and people and other things. And actually, I'm going to expand this out to 5 areas, because the next one is that I missed here was in relationships. Where do you want your relationships to be? Your personal relationships, your business relationships, et cetera, and so on. That's another area. And finally, of course, financially. Where do you want to be financially 3 years from today? So take 2 hours on Friday morning and sit down, think about this, and write it out. If you don't write it out, it's worthless to you. Write it out on a piece of paper, and then take that piece of paper and stick it in your back pocket. And throughout the day, find a spot where you can walk away from everybody and pull it out of your pocket about once an hour and read through it and think about it for 5 minutes, and then go back and join the party. Okay? Do that on Friday. Then on Saturday, this is the 3-day crash course, John. Then on Saturday, I want you to get up, do the same thing. Set aside 2 hours on Saturday morning, okay? And I want you to sit down, and I want you to think about, okay, I thought about this all day yesterday. 3 years from now, who do I want to be? Where do I want to be? Where am I going to need to be at the end of this year? That puts me on the path, that sets me in the direction to achieve that 3 years. That's where you want to think. Same 5 areas. Break them down now. All right? That's what you want to do for Saturday morning. Spend 2 hours doing that. And then put away your 3-year page and put the 1-year page in your pocket. Pull that thing out about once an hour all day Saturday and read through it and look at what do I need to be at the end of this year. And then Sunday, when you wake up, Sunday we're going big time crazy. Sunday you're going to wake up for 2 hours and you're going to say, okay, boom, here we go. You can do one of 2 things here. You can either say, you know what, at the end of January, end of the first month, where do I need to be in order to have this, to be on the path to this 1-year goal? Or you can expand it out a little bit farther. Maybe you do both. Actually, I would probably do both. Do both January and by the end of the first quarter. Where do I need to be at these 2 points in order for me to get to what I want to be at, where I need to be at the end of this first year, so that I can ultimately be where I want to be in 3 years. There's your 3-day crash course. That's what you're going to do. 6 hours of your time. That's all it takes out of your whole 3-day weekend here. Do it. Create a plan. Be ready and make 2016 your best year ever.
I venture to say that if you don't do it, you're not willing to make any sort of a change during 2016, and you're really not committed to learning anything new, and you're not a teachable person. That might sound kind of harsh, but it's very true. If you're not willing to give up 6 hours over the next, and I'm like, the only difference between what Paul's saying, what I'm going to say here is, why even wait until the first? Why don't you start today? Get your 6 hours out of the way today, tomorrow, and Friday, and then you can blow off the whole weekend if you want. You got your vision created. You have to be willing to give something up if you're going to be successful. That's the bottom line, is giving up 6 hours of your time. And I even hate using the word giving it up, because I believe this is actually the best investment of your time that you could probably make over the next 4 days, is self-reflection here. But I'm going to go with that word. If you just give up something so that you can invest the next 6 hours, 6 hours of your life over the next 3 days to put this plan for yourself together, you're going to see a drastic change in your life in a very quick period of time if you actually stick to the vision you create for yourself. It's that simple. The funny thing is, I guarantee 98% of the people that are stumbling into this hangout are going to blow 6 hours in the next 3 days on just television alone. Are you willing to give up television for 6 hours for the next 3 days to be successful for the rest of your life? Well, that's a question I think you need to ask yourself. I see that we're almost out of time here, so I just want to run through real quick what Paul laid out there. Spend that time. Where do you want to be in 3 years? Break that down into, all right, this is the big dream. This is the big vision. Where do I realistically see myself being at the end of year one? And then falling back to create your 30, 60, 90-day plan. I agree with Paul 100%. You should actually plan out what actions need to be taken over the next 90 days so that you can get to where you want to be in 1 year from now. And I say part of that system, which I am jumping a little bit ahead, but I want to give you the bird's eye view, the broad scope of this whole thing, is that in 90 days, when you get through your 90-day action plan, you've broken it down to what you're doing day by day for 90 days. At the end of 90 days is you can review and reset, and you should spend another 2 hours in 90 days to structure the next 90 days. Think about these things. How serious are you? How committed are you to your success? And if you're serious about making 2016 the best year of your life, start today. Find a way to have the 2 hours to spend doing this exercise. And you know what? You might have to give up TV. You might have to give up game night. Hell, you might have to give up getting drunk on New Year's Eve. And what's the worst thing that's going to happen if you give up those things?
You won't go to jail.
Well, yeah. You'll have more success in the next year. So that's kind of my final thought on this. I love that Paul brought this up. I think it's very important, very timely, and I kind of see where we're going to be taking this on Friday. I'm sure this is going to be the primary subject matter, because Friday is Freedom Friday, and this is the kind of thing that brings us freedom in all areas of our life.
And it is New Year's Day, and it would be the first day of my 3-day crash course that I said. So you can either squeeze in 30 minutes in 1 hour in between, or you can wait, do it all before, or you can do it all after. You got a timeline here. You got 30 minutes more information you're going to get right here, and you got 2 hours. You got to plug in on one side or the other of that.
I got to throw in a final thought. I've got to do this. I've got to say this live on the air, because I know myself, and if I don't commit right now to being here on Friday morning, since it is a New Year's, I commit myself to being here, because this is going to be probably the first New Year's Eve since I was probably 17 that I will not be getting drunk, because it's a new year. I'm turning over a new leaf, because the old one is turning on you. So turn over a new leaf.
All right, everybody, with that, O Universe, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom, with which to make better use of the riches given to me at birth, consisting of the power to control and direct my own mind to whatever end I might desire, which is an awesome 2016, and I hope that's your desire too. See you there.